All right, let's see. Let's get my mic here into audible range, and let's check to see if we are live. Doing a check here. Warforged Machines, episode 8. We should be up and running here in just a moment, so just gonna wait for the thing to refresh. I'm gonna kick my social medias here while I wait for the confirmation that we are live. And once we are, we'll be good to go. So, are we up and running now? Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. All right, fantastic. All right, so let's see. How long have we been up and running? Okay, it looks like everything's good to go. All right, hey, so my name is Theurgy. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. I've been focusing on the Spelljammer setting since the release of the official setting by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition, Spelljammer's Adventures in Space. And now that we have that document published, hold on, you can see the book cover here, Spelljammer Combat Exploration, right here on screen. Let me get that set up here. Yeah, it looks like everything's sitting pretty. You can, if you're interested, if you're on the Twitter X platform, you can follow me at Theurgy. Cheers. Otherwise, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications of when I am live in the future. The document that we're working on today, it's a Google Doc. You can see it here if you click on it. Spelljammer Warforged Machines. It's basically we're taking Warforged and Autonomes as our base to build out mecha up to 50 and then 500 foot size constructs to be able to walk around and smash stuff, right? That's what we've been building out here. We're on episode 8 right now. So we've completed the docent species, which is basically a soul crystal that can be inserted into a forged body, which is either going to be an autonome for small size or medium size would be Warforged. We're using the basic construction material mechanics that we have in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. And for those that haven't seen it, if you're new to the channel or you're new to my design stuff in general, check it out here. It's on DMsGuild. It's a 107-page document. Yep, it came out in the end of March. I've got some good 5-star preview reviews or ratings. It's the entire document is available for preview. And you can, but if you purchase it, you get about 120 different map, token, and like ship and NPC assets. This thing has basically rebuilds 5e combat, spellcasting, and adventuring to work at the 50 and 500 foot scale. So you can have fighter craft up to 50 feet in size. You can have larger vessels up to 500 feet in size. The hit points, damage, and scaling of everything works smoothly from 5 feet to 50 feet to 500 feet. We have all the 16 ships that were in the Spelljammer's Adventures in Space released in August 2022. Up to 5. Well, the biggest ships they have in here is the Squid ship and the Hammerhead ship, which is a 250 foot vessel, right? So 50 foot squares, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. Each square is 50 feet. But then if we drop down here to the fighter craft, these small, like if you're familiar with 2nd edition, you'll know what like the Goblin Arrow is. You'll know what the Warbird is, but we also added like a 40-foot Spiderling fighter craft, which is like a baby compared to the 200-foot Night Spider. It, like you can see, like the abdomen here, like stretches about. There's a 200 by 200 foot space that the Night Spider occupies, and you can see here that the abdomen is just about 50 feet wide, right? So this is the top side of the craft, but like on the underside, you could have a bunch of these little spiderlings clipped onto the bottom because the gravity inverts, and depending on which side of the gravity plane you're on, and up is up, right? And so you cross the gravity plane, then it switches, and then it becomes up this way. So it's up in both directions, which means the underside on almost all of these ships is real estate that you can use as a landing strip for various smaller craft. In the example here that we're talking about, the Night Spider, since each spiderling occupies basically a 40-foot space or almost a 50-foot square, you could have one spiderling, another spiderling, and then you could have like a third spiderling, and then a fourth spiderling. You could have 4 spiderlings lined up on the underbelly of it, just waiting to have slave troops, Umber Hulk, and Neogi pilots load into them and then kick off the ship and then fly off on their own. So you can have a little squadron. When you're looking at like the Hammerhead ship, for example, it's about, then this is like 30 feet wide, up to 40 feet wide, and it's 250 feet long. So you could take a bunch of skiffs, right? If you're like, say, like these skiffs are 20 feet by 20 feet. They're large enough to have a helm, a harpoon flinger for anti-personnel weaponry, as well as a ballista for anti-ship, and a ballista occupies a 10 by 10 space. So this is a 20 by 20 space that this skiff occupies, and so you could fit 10 of those. Like, you just line up 10 of them on the underbelly of this Hammerhead ship. So if a Hammerhead ship is a cargo vessel, it can be defended by a squadron of small fighter craft that would basically stay inside of its air envelope, stay inside its gravity plane, and repel any attacks that are coming in on it. You basically got the trebuchet, some ballistas, mangonels, as well as a slew of harpoon flingers here, and you got the ram, of course. So it has decent armaments on its own. But then if you stack on a squadron of 10 skiffs with it, that's an extra 10 ballistas that can be fired. So you can have a sizable crew, like say 30 skiff pilot, like 3 crew each skiff, 30 skiff crew, to go along with the 20 some odd people that you would need for the weapon deck here. So you can easily have a crew of 50 crewmates as NPCs for your characters to command in squadron combat, as well as with multiple siege weapon attacks, which uses the action economy of 5e. If you're not familiar here, let's hit the table of contents here. And just for you guys to check this stuff out on your own when you get to it, ship rolls. You can see the ship rolls here. It just uses action economy depending on where you're stationed on the ship, whether you're offering support, whether you're piloting or co-piloting, or you're in command of siege crews, or you're commanding squadrons of ships like the fighter ship, like the fighter skiffs or the spiderling squadrons. All characters can just use their action economy and mix and match. You can be a pilot as well as a siege commander and fire off spells using all your action economy during a round of combat. Multiple characters can all co-pilot, so you can work together to have the ship be more maneuverable than it may otherwise be on its own with a single pilot. Check out all this stuff if you think it's interesting. But the gist of it here is that the fighter ship mechanics that we use, they're basically shaped like animals, but that's just an aesthetic. We could just as easily make these ships humanoid shaped, and that changes it. Instead of having integrated weapons, like their legs generally tend to be like piercing weapons, or they have edges or blunt rams. These are all kind of like integrated natural attacks on the ships, as though they were just massive creatures, which we can then duplicate as massive creatures. But if you're making a humanoid shape, then what you'd essentially be able to have, like here we have a 20-foot construct. This be a war golem, and as you can see here, it's got a 20-foot sized battle axe that is using a battle axe and a shield. So basically, this would just be a character with more hit points, larger footprint, larger size, larger damage, can attack and deal with larger CR creatures than maybe the pilot would be able to handle on their own. So you could have low-level characters fighting high CR large creatures, like a giant campaign in Big B's Glory of the Giants. You can have giant constructs that your medium and small size characters basically board or mount and then pilot as though they were Spelljammer fighter craft. But then it's just, can they fly? Can they fly in space, or are they land-bound? If they're land-bound, can they maneuver like vehicles, or do they have movement like characters would have movement? So there's different types of modes of movement depending on what kind of a helmet is that you build into the construct to dictate what arenas of environment it can participate in. So currently we're just looking at just constructs in general, just the general setup and frame of it. And so the document that we have here online goes into a pretty deep dive into how to build, like the material costs that go into it, the hit point capacity, the armor class, all the nits and bits of having your character basically get augmented by these golems to be able to run around. And then we have the power systems of what kind of helms they can use, and then the list of powers that can be basically built into and installed into your mecha or your war golems as you equip them. And we have a total of 50 broken into 5 different disciplines. If you're familiar with the Martial Powers book that I have been playtesting recently and have spent the last year developing here on stream, you'll recognize these powers as exploits, maneuvers, reactions, strikes, and sustained powers. And so depending on the level of the pilot, it's a fighting style to be able to learn these things, or you can just build them into your mecha, and then you can spend a long rest to retool and recalibrate the powers that the mecha has. Kind of like you're preparing different powers as integrated gear into the golems on a day-by-day basis. So I think there's a lot of neat opportunities here for us to be able to depict these things. But I'm still sussing that out. But right now, like the preview says, I want to start thinking about how to organize this thing. Because we're going to build this into a book, we're going to put it on the DMsGuild, and we're going to bundle it with the Combat and Exploration book. So if you pick up the Combat and Exploration book, by the way, if you pick up the Combat and Exploration book, there is a discount coupon here. There, if you take this, it's a 25% discount, so it's $15. We'll eventually have this bundled with other books that we create as we go along. We've got a couple different ones in the works right now. So right now, I'm just spending a little bit of time. I only got about maybe half hour or so today that I can spend. It's like work life has been crazy, so my lunches have been short. But we want to look at the TOC. So we want an intro. I'm going to turn down the volume here. It seems to be a little loud. There. Let's see. So we got our intro, our TOC. We have species, docents, body frames, autonomes, Warforged. Let's see. We'll go with golems, titans, and fighter craft. Let's go with golems and titans for now. So war golems can be up to 50 feet in size, and then war titans are up to 500 feet size. They operate basically the same, just at different scales, and depending on the kind of helm that you have. Golems and titans. Let's see. Building. War machines. See, I'll go with materials. Maybe vehicle. materials. Statistics, properties. Materials, properties, statistics. There you go. Let's see. Helms and power gear. Helms. With basic helms, we'll go with oh, thank you, Timely Timer. Just keep it going. See what would it be the Infernal War Machines is like a basic is like Infernal War Machines IWM. Basic helms is just mobile walking. Skyrunner helms is in atmosphere flight. Like airships in Eberron, for example. And then there's spelljamming helms, which can go between worlds. There's a space between basic helms and skyrunners. Let's go with airship. Let's call them airship because I like the idea of skyrunners being a personal IP. Airship. Helms. Oh yeah, there we go. Landcraft. Landcraft helms is like Infernal War Machines, where you have wheels or treads that move fast and have limited maneuverability and being like turn radius and stuff like that, kind of like with boats. Basic helm, Landcraft, airship, watercraft. Mobile helms, or maybe yeah, it's basic helms. That works. Helms, power gear. Let's go with what would it be? Additional augments. Let's see, power gear. That would be power stones. Power options, exploits, maneuvers, reactions, strikes, sustain. body frames. Character options. Let's try this route. Let's see. Go with Artificer. Pilot. Fighting style. Combat pilot. Artificer. Fighting style. Combat pilot. Yeah, there we go. And we'd have vehicle options. Vehicle options, Warforged, helms, power gear, additional augments, yada, yada. I don't need to spell those out. Character options, vehicle options, combat and exploration. Let's see. Vehicle movement, scaling, time and distance. Let's see. Maneuverability. Let's see. We'd have scaling time and distance, maneuverability, pacing and pursuits. Static versus what is it? There's static and then adaptive, modified. Static versus relative. Static and relative movement, maneuverability, pacing, and pursuits. Let's see. Ramming. Vehicle movement. Let's see. Vehicle movement. For ability, pacing and pursuits, ramming. Combat options. Let's do it like that. Ramming. Power gear, additional augments. Weapons and equipment. That feels that feels right. Weapons, shields, and tools. Combat exploration, vehicle movement, scaling time and distance, static and relative. Almost all of this stuff is already in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. I'm just a lot of these mechanics are, but they're also built for. Like if your war golem is using a minor or major helm, then you can basically just use all the mechanics that are already in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book, and then utilize the specifically the vehicle options that are unique to the war machines that we're building here. But almost everything that we're going to see in this combat section here and the spellcasting stuff, this is all things that already exist here, but it gets parsed out differently because of the type of vehicle that you're using. So there are some modifications there. But again, all my stuff is 100% free preview. So you often see duplication of different rules and mechanics that I've developed across the various books. But each book that's created takes and uses those various mechanics in different ways. So it's just basically re-expressing an idea and then showing you iterations of how it can be implemented in different pieces of campaign. So that's the idea that goes on behind there. Vehicle combat, ramming, opportunity attacks, pilot actions, object, interaction, action, bonus action, reaction, attacks. Yeah, that feels right. Hold on, I got a thing going on here. Let's see, how much time I got left? I still got a few minutes. Vehicle combat. Let's see. Combat exploration. Vehicle movement. Vehicle combat. Environments and exploration. Let's see. Perception and investigation. Stealth. Acrobatics and athletics. Using tools. Deception, intimidation, and persuasion. Hazards. Hazards and obstacle. Spellcasting, amplifying, amplified casting. Let's see, we got the pilot, power gear, pilot actions. We'll go with additional rolls. Siege commander, support crew. Co-piloting, siege commander, support options, support role. Combined. Team actions. Combining character actions. Amplified spellcasting. Range. Targeting. Damage. AoE. Damage. Amplified casting. Damage. I will have sample spells. Sample spells and effects. character options, vehicle options, combat and exploration, spell casting, pre-generated vehicles, war golems, war titans, spirit warriors, from war machines, airships, elemental airships, infernal war machines, spirit warriors, war titans, war golems, elemental airships, Spelljammer fightercraft. Adventures and encounters, fire giants, Avernus stuff, Aberon stuff. Anything else? Storm King's Thunder. That should be pretty good. I think that's a decent array of crap to have in the book. Should flesh it out to probably around 30 pages, 40 or 50 even, depending on how deep into the adventure and encounter designs I go, and how many pre-generated vehicles we provide. But yeah, that's a decent spread, and that's all I have the time for today. So let's see. I'll be back. I'm going to be back. Oh boy, I'll be back tonight in about like 3-ish some odd hours. I'll be back on to work on I'll be working on this is a 500-foot battle crab. For Vokath's base being converted into a 500-foot battle vehicle, and an optional combat scenario for Lada Zaraxis to use. But we're building out these assets. We're taking our time with it. I'm not in a hurry, but you can check out this stuff. Obviously, the read-only document is here for you to check out. You can check out the book that I have. You can join me on my Discord community if you want, which is linked in the description down below. It's on the About page of my Patreon. You can see a lot of this stuff. I'll have a link posted up for all this stuff on my Patreon as well. So we'll be doing playtests for this in the near future, probably in the next couple weeks. And so I'll be back to do Vokath's Combat Crab tonight. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue working on Eberron Token. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at lunchtime to work on more of this. And I will see you when I get to. So thanks all for checking it out. See you guys soon.